Hi, I'm Wayne and this is Bassador Woodworking. Get ready for an update video. I know that I haven't posted a video in quite some time. I have quite a few projects that are in process, and I've also done a couple of dozen projects that I just didn't film. Sometimes you just have to do projects that you don't film. You don't have to spend the extra time to set up the camera and all that stuff, edit the video. And it's things that other people have done videos about, and I didn't really have a unique take on it, so figured it's not worth doing. So this is gonna just be kind of a shop update video. I have a whole lot of projects that are in process that will be videos in the future, but they are not ready yet, and I got the weird, hey, we'll demonetize your channel if you're not active, email from YouTube, so I'm posting a video. I appreciate it if you watch it. If you don't want to watch it, no hard feelings, you can skip this one. This is just going to be kind of a mini updated shop tour with the reconfiguration of the shop. A little bit of a sneak peek into some projects that I have in process. And then also some kind of like ideas for projects I'm going to be doing in the future. As well as some updates to previous projects, especially like shop tools and stuff like that I've done. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, stay tuned. We're going to go over all of it. If not, I will see you in the next one. One of the first things you'll notice, if you've watched this channel for any long amount of time, is that the layout of the shop has pretty much fundamentally changed. A lot of that's due to I upgraded my table saw. I'll show that in a second. And that kind of necessitated the reworking of the entire shop because my Outfeed table then needed to move because I wanted to keep the old table saw functional and in the space because I still use it quite a bit, and it's actually a great luxury to have two table saws. Highly recommended if you have the space. And then also like making upgrades to my bandsaw and things like that that have taken up a bunch more room and made it so that tools that used to be able to be tucked away can't really be tucked away anymore. I also built the fucking Treadmill sander that takes up an ungodly amount of space and is not as useful as I thought it was going to be, but it still makes me smile when I look at it, so it's not going anywhere. It's also really fucking heavy, so getting it to go anywhere is very hard. But right now I just have it set up over there. It's on a movable table, so if I do want to lay it down flat and use it as like a flat sanding surface, I can still do that. It's just kind of a pain. It's not my best project. It's nowhere near my favorite one, but it has a utility. If I didn't have so many other options for sanding, I would probably use it a lot more, but it has come in clutch quite a few times, so I don't regret building it. A while back, I upgraded my Craftsman 113 table saw to this Harvey 110 TC. This is a great saw. I have zero regrets about the purchase. Of course, you can find little finicky things that you wish were done a little bit different, but that could also just be due to my familiarity with my old saw. So you kind of still, when you move to something new, you kind of miss the old one. I don't have to miss the old one. My old table saw is my Outfeed table, and I still use it quite a bit. It still has the DRO installed on it. It still has the extension wains, the Delta T3 fence installed on it. It's still fully functional. The only thing I did differently was I put the original motor back on the Craftsman. So it no longer has the 2 or 3 horsepower. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember. Grizzly motor on it, and now just has the original Craftsman motor back on it. So now that's back down to like 1 3/4 peak horsepower, but it like actually operates closer to 1. And I took the 3 horsepower Grizzly motor and put it on the bandsaw, on the Harbor Freight bandsaw. So we'll go to that next. But this is a really solid table saw. I love it. There's a couple of things like dust collection on it's not great. Especially for how intense the setup of dust collection is on this thing. I would have hoped it did a little bit better. For reference, I just have a dust collector dedicated basically to the table saw. It has blast gates going to other places, but those are always closed. I only really ever use it for the table saw. And the overhead dust collection doesn't really do anything. The cabinet dust collection is actually pretty good, but having the branch off for the overhead dust collection weakens that a little bit. So if I were to make any changes to this, I would probably just kind of cap off the overhead dust collection and just run the blade guard without any kind of dust collection on it. I've only kind of kept it there because habit at this point. But I've 3D printed caps and everything. I have everything I need to cap it all off. I just haven't done it yet. But overall, incredibly happy with this table saw. It's so heavy, which is nice because it's just a solid piece of equipment in the shop. It also then allowed me to run a 220 volt line in the shop. So now I can also run a couple of other tools that would run more efficiently at 220. I run on the same circuit as this. So I run my air compressor, and I also run the Harbor Freight bandsaw on the 220 volt circuit. And it runs better. It's great. Moving over here, the 15.5 inch drill press still going strong. Table lift still working great. My fence system on the drill press table is fine. It's a little bit finicky. I have to kind of redesign it. When I built this, I had just broken my old 3D printer. I now have a working 3D printer. I'll probably print some brackets just to make the drill press table on this work a little bit more efficiently, the fence system. You don't need a fence for a drill press that has a whole lot of holding power. It just needs to be able to lock in place so that when you line things up against it, it's not going to be like a table saw fence where it needs to securely lock because you're going to be dragging things across it. This just needs to stay in a position and hold it. So I'll probably 3D print a fence system. That is a project I'm working on that will be filmed when it's done. The Harbor Freight drill press that we added the riser block to and all of that has been basically bulletproof. The only problem I came into with it was that the motor that comes with the saw is a little bit underpowered. You can make it work. It's by no means unworkable. Like, you can resaw to the capacity of the saw with the riser block. It just takes a long time. You need to make sure you're using exactly the right blade, and you need to make sure that your setup is rock solid so that you can sit there for like 10 minutes to just push a single resaw cut through. So I did upgrade this to the 2 horsepower Grizzly motor, and I'm running it at 220 volts, and it's amazing. I've resawn way easier on this now. At first I was worried that the 2 horsepower would be kind of like too much power for the frame of this thing, and if I were using the original base, I think that would be true. I think it would have too much torque and it would bend the bracket that you use to mount the motor. So I did mount it on top of one of the cabinets that I've built in the past in the shop, and just mounted it straight down to the tabletop, and it's great. Doesn't really change much of anything. I did have to build a belt protector and everything back here so that things coming off the back of the saw don't drop down onto the belt, because the belt is now running in a different orientation than designed, so I can't use any of the safeties that Harbor Freight had included with the saw. But everything on this works great. It still starts right up. And it's great, no complaints at all. It's still doing great. Next to the bandsaw and the drill press, I have the jointer just kind of tucked down here. I don't use the jointer all that much, and for small one-off things, I just use the jointing jig on the table saw. But for large scale things, like if I am jointing a bunch of pieces to put together into guitar body or something, I still pull it out and I still use it. It's still worth keeping in the shop, I think. No real need to get rid of it. It tucks away and is low profile enough that I'm not really bothered by it. The Craftsman Radial Arm Saw is still the most used saw in the shop. It's still great. It's doing fine. No plans to get rid of it. I probably will redo the table in the next year or so. It's starting to show its age. It's starting to wear away in areas where it needs to be present. And it's a consumable portion of the saw. It needs to be replaced every few years. But other than that, this thing's great. On the wall opposite the Harbor Freight bandsaw and the Radial Arm Saw, I have the wood lathe, and I also have the Ryobi drill press, both of which are working perfectly fine. The lathe is kind of too big of a footprint in the shop right now. It's only used a few times a year. When it does get used, it gets used for like 6 to 8 hours straight. It's one of those times where I'm just like parting out things one after another. So I do need it to be accessible, but it doesn't need to have this whole battle station set up. I can make a cabinet with drawers that just is the footprint of the lathe and store things a little bit more efficiently. That's a project that will be coming up in the future. I want it to be able to be kind of tucked away and out of the way when it's not being used, because it does take up a big footprint in the shop, and it's one of my lesser used power tools. The Ryobi drill press is still going strong. I use it probably just as much as the Craftsman. I used to have a third smaller Harbor Freight just table, like benchtop drill press. I did get rid of that one. I just gave it away for free on Facebook Marketplace. 3 drill presses is kind of a luxury I don't need. As has been the case anytime I've done any kind of shop update or shop tour, this corner of the shop is my problem. It's one of those things, I've changed it over so many times, I've tried so many different configurations, and I've just not found what's right over here. Right now, it's kind of just the tuck-away place for any random tool that I need to keep. It needs to be accessible, but it's not used every day. This is my little woodworking library / where I store like hot cocoa. So in here, there's just any like woodworking magazines, plans, note paper, all that stuff. This is an old anchor box that I just put some legs on. The 2x72 belt sander still gets used quite a bit. It's not an optimal design. If I were to rebuild it, I'd do a lot of things differently. But it still works. It's still very powerful. And until I can actually get around to changing it in any way, it's going to stay. I saw a listing on Facebook Marketplace for a wall-mounted version just made out of like angle iron and tube steel. That kind of looks like exactly what the kind of thing I need, because then I can just fold it into the wall when I'm not using it. But I'd then have to find a wall space that can keep it there forever. So when I look into getting a metal lathe and stuff like that, I'll probably look into doing that project, because the original intention for this thing was to be using it primarily with metal. That hasn't been the case, but the Craftsman bandsaw is here. Still gets used quite a bit. I keep my curve cutting blade on this one, and I use the Harbor Freight more for resawing. This is a great little bandsaw. I still use it quite often. If there were any tools over here that were like going to be moved out of here to be put in a space where they're more accessible, it would be the bandsaw, but it's on these big heavy-duty casters that make it easy to move it around, so it's kind of a low priority. The Wen metal cutting bandsaw, still use it very often. Don't let the spider webs on everything fool you. Spiders get in here and start webbing up things within a day. There are tools that I'll use one day and then it's covered in spider webs the next. I probably should do something about that, but priorities, really. But yeah, bandsaw still works great. The table I mounted it into, excellent. Only problem I have with it is it makes blade changes kind of a pain in the ass. But it takes about like 20 minutes to change a blade. So in the grand scheme of things, not a huge time suck, but it still should never take 20 minutes to change a blade on something. So might look into redesigning that to make it just easier to change the blades. But I do actually really like having a zero clearance cut insert in this, because I can shave really little bits off of like aluminum and stuff, which is what I primarily cut with this. I'm usually cutting like plates and stuff like that for mounting brackets or for guitars, things like that. And this thing's great for that. The slack belt sander that I turned into an edge sander for the Radial Arm Saw. Not used a whole lot, not a great setup. I might convert this back into just a standard Radial Arm Saw and just run a small dado stack on it. But it's fine for what it is. It stays out of the way. When I just need to touch up an edge of something, it's easy to access. It's just not great. The whole design of the slack belt sander is fine, I guess, and that's the nicest thing you can say about it. It's finicky. It takes a lot. Like, once you have it dialed in and set up, it works really well. Like, it doesn't lose its settings, but it does take an inordinate amount of time to get those settings dialed in, especially if you swap the belt. The swapping the belt process is not great. This whole area sucks. This is all scrap wood and cut-offs and stuff. It sucks. I need a better system. I think my cart is fine. It's not the fact that the cart sucks. It's that scrap wood is always going to be a problem. It fucking sucks. It sucks. It sucks. Next on our tour / update thing is my former Outfeed table, which is now kind of my workbench. It's pretty much the same. I have swapped out the top for a manufactured top for my father-in-law. I've added some like pop-up dog hole type things and work stops. I've also replaced the router plate with a Spay tool one. It was on sale on Amazon one day. Decided to splurge on it. Inset it into the tabletop, and it works great. It's fine. It has dust collection and all that stuff. I'm happy with it overall. The old top was just getting worn. There was nothing wrong with anything. It was 3/4 inch plywood. It needs to be replaced every so often. Hoping this will last a little bit longer, since it should hold up to chemicals and stuff a little bit better. But overall, everything's still functional on this. The router lift still works exactly as it did. It's just a different router top. Yeah. In the corner of the shop by the entrance and exit, which is right here just off frame, I've added this Craftsman just storage cabinet. It was on sale at Lowe's one day and decided to pick it up. It allows me to put all my consumables and any kind of like caustic chemicals that I have just in a metal cabinet. So it's coming in handy. Like it. It's a cabinet. There's not much you can say about a cabinet. Cabinet. I don't like that you have to lock the door if you want it to stay closed. It might just because I put the magnets in the wrong place, who knows. Okay, this shot is really off kilter, but I kind of liked how it was able to line up all 3 sanders in a row. So we're just going to go with it. Treadmill sander still works. Not super useful. Takes up a lot of space. It's very heavy. Kind of an all-around pain in the ass, but it's still really cool. Makes me happy to look at it. It's come in handy a few times. For what it is, it's cool. Homemade disc sander, still use it practically every day that I'm in here. It's great. No real complaints about it. The only thing is it's only a 10-inch disc, so you're kind of limited there. So I also set up my Shopsmith as a like super short and put a 12-inch disc with just this little platen in front of it. And this just allows me to have more standing area. It also gives me something with a super small table that I can get all the way around the disc. This is by no means really safe to run like this, but it's one of those things where it's not run for very often at a time. I'm careful around it. It's my spinning death stick, death disc. It's fine. Whatever. Just comment about it. I don't care. The main area of the shop has also changed quite a bit. I've kind of been doing a lot of guitar building and just general lutherie lately, so I've been kind of organizing a set of specialized tools for that purpose. So this is all full of luthier tools. This tool chest over here is full of luthier tools. I have another portable one that just has my, like, kind of the things that, like, if I need to do an adjustment in the house, that's the box I bring in there. That way I'm not having to bring everything out to the shop every time or have to bring entire rolling tool chests in there. The Harbor Freight, like basically tech toolbox. This is just my kind of dumping ground for whatever tools I'm currently using for whatever project I'm on. It's mostly full of sandpaper and clamps and my measuring tools and stuff like that. It's fine. It's a good toolbox. It's got a lot of storage for its size. I keep chisels, all that kind of stuff. Just things I would use on literally every project lives in this box. The underneath it is kind of wasted space for me, but it's just where I store like tools that come in containers, pneumatic tools, things like that. The Algo Laser DIY laser engraver doesn't get used a whole lot. I mean, I was very upfront with the company when they sent it to me that unless it works organically in the workflow that of the project I'm doing, not going to use it all that much. It gets used probably a couple of times a month. I don't regret having it. I mean, I still dedicate this whole tabletop to it, but as you can see, things get piled on it, so I have to clear it off every time I want to use it. One thing I've been using it for a lot is router templates for guitar bodies, guitar necks, things like that. Also engraving, like my maker's mark and also like a guitar, the name of the guitar on the headstock. I've got jigs and everything set up to be able to do that more easily. And it's great for those kinds of things. It's also great for like one-off little things. But it's one of those things where I'm not looking to make a laser engraver business. I don't have an Etsy shop. I don't sell my work typically. So it's not a huge utility to me. It's still a very much in the category of nice to have, but by no means required. So take that how you will. Like the Algo Laser, I think it's super easy to use. It's one of those things where I wouldn't have bought it for myself. It's just, since Algo Laser provided it to me, super grateful that they did. Super happy with it. If anyone asks me, hey, like, do you like this particular laser engraver? I do recommend it. I think it's competitively priced based on what else is on the market, but it's one of those things I wouldn't have gone out and bought myself a laser. This is my wall of miscellaneous tool chests. Luthier tools, just random, measuring calipers, machinist squares, that kind of stuff, magnetic bases, pneumatic tools in their cases down there, wrenches, sockets, all that stuff is all in this area. I have a couple of these hanging racks for different battery platforms, and then just like punches, 1, 2, 3 blocks. Things that I use quite a bit that needs to be readily accessible but doesn't need to be in the blue cart. And then I also have this Wen sharpening system. I love this thing. This thing has been one of the best purchases I've made in the past year. Not super expensive, but it makes it so much easier just to keep all your tools sharp. I don't like to keep crazy sharp edges on my tools. I feel like that kind of creates more danger than it like prevents. A decently sharp chisel, you want like yeah, it's cool when you can stick it in there and it's just like butter and it all shaves away. That's cool, but then that also means that if you just touch it against yourself, you cut yourself. So you want a decently sharp edge so that you're not like cranking and putting too much pressure on the blade to cut, but you don't want it to be like a razor blade every time you go into something. At least I don't, because then it becomes a simple chisel becomes more dangerous than it needs to be. So I keep a decent edge on things. I do, like, as I'm working on something, I touch up the edge as I'm going, but I rarely keep like a shaving edge on my stuff. It's just not necessary for the work that I do. Bingo board still going strong. Fucking love that thing. Still works and everything. And yeah, it's still just hanging there. Super heavy, never going anywhere. I kind of designed this whole area around that thing being able to be there. It's great. Love it. No regrets. Fun fact, this area is such a cluttered mess the camera didn't want to autofocus on it. So this is just kind of extra storage. It's a small other workbench. It's kind of where I'll set glue-ups to dry. I have a couple of stacks of these parts organizers, and I have Milwaukee set. I have a Hart set from Walmart, and I also have a Craftsman set. Of course, they're all different heights, so they require different fucking holding things. But I'm up to about 20 or so of these different containers. They're great for just like putting like parts together. I'm very happy with them, but every time I get used to a system, they discontinue that specific size of things. So then I have to find the next closest thing that's not like $50 a bin. I refuse to pay any more than like $20, $25 a bin, because it's just a plastic bin with inserts. So when the Milwaukee ones stopped making them in this size, in this layout, I moved over to the Hart ones. Those ones became kind of hard to find, and the Craftsman ones have been the most consistent in the past year or so. I can get them both on Amazon, and if I go into a Lowe's, they are usually there. So when I need one, I can get them right away. But I do recommend these. They're just, know what you're getting into, because it's a lot, and you constantly have to change it if you are constantly expanding your things. If you just set to like one style of woodworking or one style of making, and you're never going to branch out into different things and be constantly adding to what you're doing, which might be just the root of my problem, is that I keep adding different things that I want to do into this shop. So this shop is it's okay at 90% of things, but it's great at very few. My methodology for building a shop is to stuff as much utility into as small a space as possible. So my whole idea is I don't want there to be a type of project I can't do here, or at least kind of fake my way through it. So I want to be able to build cabinets here. I want to be able to build furniture here. I want to be able to build instruments here. I want to be able to do light metalworking here. I want to be able to do like electroplating has been a thing I've been doing a lot lately, because I electroplated a guitar body with copper, and that took 5 tries, and it took the purchasing of a whole shitload of different chemicals and different tools, large tanks, a water distiller. I'm probably on a list for the random chemicals I was buying on Amazon for a long time and concerning qualities, and now I have about 20 gallons of copper sulfate that I need to, or copper chloride, I don't remember, one of those two, that I need to find an ethical and non-illegal way to dispose of. I think my town has a like toxic waste disposal day coming up. I have to look at how much they charge for that. But yeah, good times. The DeWalt Radial Arm Saw Dado Station thing, still going strong. I did swap out the scroll saw for the disc and belt sander. It just gets used more, and also having the scroll saw mounted in there made it very finicky to change the blades, so I just have the scroll saw tucked into a table over there, and when I need it to use it, I just take it out and put it on a bench. I got the oscillating spindle sander in another spot, and then more of these container things and stuff like that. This is the Luthier Go box. And then just stain putties and things like that in the file cabinet. That right there is a dresser that I'm rebuilding for a family member. That's also what all the drawers sitting on the table saw over there that you probably saw in the background are. It's a really neat project. I haven't been filming it because it's one of those things where it's just a lot of reinforcing, rebuilding, stuff like that. I have these bottles I picked up in the dollar area of Target that have been great. This is just full of shellac. Shellac is my most used finishing process, so I just have this bottle of just homemade shellac. Put a squirt of it into a little container and brush it onto whatever I'm doing. It's been working great. It's also got a stir stick in there, so I just put this on top of an electronic stirrer, and it just mixes up the shellac before I use it. This one's full of wood glue. This is a less successful method of having wood glue readily accessible. It works, but if you leave it for like a weekend or a week, you then have to take this apart and kind of like get it functioning again. So I've started to seal it. That seems to help a little bit, but still the first couple of pumps are kind of wasted and it's just all crusty stuff. But I'm still working on better ways to store wood glue. So far, Tupperware with a acid brush is still my go-to way of applying wood glue. That and syringes. Picking up like a multi-pack of syringes on Amazon is one of the best decisions I've ever made. Now this shot is going to be kind of a nightmare for you, but I've also upgraded all the lighting in the shop. It's actually really funny. I went out and bought all of these Barina, I believe it is, LED lights because I was cleaning up the basement, setting up my home gym down there, and I had to add a bunch of lighting. So I bought some extra and added it in here. The week after I finished installing all this stuff, the company reached out to ask if I wanted some lighting to do a video on. And I didn't really have the heart to message them back and say, oh, well, I just purchased a bunch of your stuff and installed it. So I guess, Barina, this one's on me. Yeah, the lights are good. I'll put an affiliate link down in the description. Yeah, lights are good. You can put them in, connect them end to end to make really long runs, or you can just daisy chain them like normal LED lights. I've been very happy with them. So my main goal moving forward in the shop is really, I've started keeping like a log of tools that I have. When I use a tool for like a project, I kind of keep a log of it. And then at the end of a few months, I'm going to take a look at that log and see, okay, like what tools haven't I used? Not necessarily large machines type stuff, but I also have so many hand tools. I have so many different kits for doing different things. I have attachments to different things and stuff like that, that they do end up taking a considerable amount of space. I have half a dozen different types of hand sanders, things like that, that could be better used by other people. I could give them to some friends and family and say, hey, here's an oscillating sander, or hey, here's a palm sander, or a jigsaw belt sander, things that I have versions of that I won't miss this other one being given away. Or I can put them in deep storage down in the basement or something like that, just to free up some space in here, because at times this just becomes everything's encroaching on everything. The only tool that can always be used without having to check around to make sure that nothing else is in the way are the table saws. But everything else, if I go to use it, I need to make sure that, oh, I haven't been stacking things on the drill press. You'll notice that I didn't go in depth and clean the shop before doing this tour, because it's not a real representation of what the shop looks like. Right now it's cleaner than it is most of the time, and it's still a fucking mess. It's still, like, when I start a project, my main workflow is, when I start a project, I go around the shop and gather the materials that I need for that project. While I'm doing that, I'm also cleaning. So I'm putting away things from other projects I've been working on that don't need to be out right now, or I finished that process so they can go away, like hand planes, mallets, things like that that I was using for assembly of something else. I'll put them away. Hardware that I was using for that thing, I'll put away. Unless I'm going to use it again in this project, then I'll just set it aside. But I kind of do a clean up as you set up type methodology, which might be absolutely insane to other people. It's just kind of how my brain works. The last thing I want to do at the end of a day where I've been doing a project that entire day is spend a bunch of time cleaning up after it. Of course, if I was using the table saw a lot and there's sawdust everywhere, if there are if there's a piles of sandpaper I've used, I'll do general cleanup, things that like could be hazards if I left them. I will absolutely clean them up at the end of the day. But if it's just, oh, I have the 5 wrenches that I was using for that for the 5 different size bolts on this project, I sometimes will leave those out and I put them away the next day. But that's just my workflow. You don't need to do that, obviously. So what spurned this entire tour slash update slash video just in general on was that I received one of those emails from YouTube that said, hey, your channel has been inactive for an amount of time. You haven't posted a video in, I think it's like 5 or 6 months. So your channel activity has dropped below the threshold of monetization. If you don't publish something in the next 30 days, you will lose your monetization. You'll have to reapply. While the monetization of this channel doesn't really matter all that much to me, it's nice to have the little extra income from the YouTube videos, but it's honestly, it's enough to pay for sandpaper sometimes. I don't make a lot of money on this YouTube channel. It's more of, this is a creative outlet for me. I've been very upfront about that in the past. Is it nice to get a little extra paycheck? Is it nice to get the Amazon affiliate sales? Is it nice when brands and companies reach out for me to look at their products? Yes, absolutely. I would be lying if I said that that isn't a cool motivator and extra benefit of it. It's cool that a company sent me a laser engraver and actually gave a shit what I thought about it. That's awesome. But it's not why I do any of this stuff. This is strictly a creative outlet. If I was chasing trends, I wouldn't be posting the bullshit weird videos that I do about a drill press lift or turning a treadmill into a sander, or the 2 different candlepin lamp videos I did, which performed terribly, and they have a very niche market of just parts of Massachusetts and Rhode Island. So, while yes, this video is basically to keep my channel active while I continue to work on the multiple videos that are in process, but I can be very upfront that those videos are not going to be done within the 30-day period. So this is kind of a update to keep everyone engaged with the channel and to keep the channel alive in YouTube's eyes. So completely understand if you decided to skip this video, but I appreciate it if you watched this far. So thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to keep up to date with new projects as they are released. And until next time, thank you.